A lot of students complain that statistics is one of the hardest topics that they could find in an exam paper. But what if I told you that statistics is the easiest question that you could come across? Hi guys, and welcome to Brainsync 5. In this video I'm going to be helping you understand statistics in the easiest way that you could understand it. There are many different methods of answering this, so I'm going to show you my method which I find suitable for me and which I would encourage you guys to take. Let's begin the video. So let's begin by first reading the question. The ages in years of 100 patients treated at a certain health center on a particular day are given in the table below. So this table shows the ages and the number of patients that were treated in that particular year. Like for example, those that were in the age between 0 and 10 were 5, between 10 and 20 were 10, between 20 and 30 were 25, between 30 and 40 were 30, between 40 and 50 were 20, between 50 and 60 were 10. So the table shows the ages of these patients. So now calculate the standard deviation. So before answering standard deviation, there is one thing that you need to pay attention to. Let me show you something. You see, this is a formula for standard deviation this time. So you need to look at the formula first, and then you will see what you are looking for. I mean, we already know that we need to find the standard deviation, right? But we need to have fx to the power 2, f mean, this x nakaka pamuraka baga, it shows mean squared. So this, you need an fx to the power 2, an f, and a mean. So how do we find all these three in order to answer this question? That is when this table comes in, and that is where this table comes in. First of all, we need to draw the table. It needs to contain an age, fx, x squared, fx, fx squared. Why? You see, the ages here, it is just these organized in this kind of direction upper. So you understand it? And the f represents the frequency, or in this case the ages, or the number of patients that were at that facility. And the x represents the more like a strong figure of the ages, like ama ages ya wababena apa f yakubika apa. So the x squared is just this x squared. I mean, I'm sure you got that hint. The fx is just multiplying f and x. I'm sure you also got that. The fx squared, come on guys, fx, just multiply them together and you get that. So let's begin by first finding for x. And how do first find the f? I mean, it is just the number of patients. Just use all these and align them straight. So it is 5, this 5 here, 10, the 10 you saw it, the 25, the 30, the 20, the 10, and once you calculate them all together, they will give you this total 100. I will show you where this comes in later on. The x, we need to do this. This is how you find this x upper. You add the first and the last one here and divide them by 2. So it is 0 plus 10 divided by 2, which is what? 5. 10 plus 20, which is 30, divided by 2, which is 15. 20 plus 30, it is 50, divided by 2, it is 25. And you can go on and so forth. So if you have any question about that, you can put it in the comment section. But I want to make this video very short, so I'm going to move on to this point. The next point that we go to, it is the x squared. Just square ama x upper. So it is 5 to the power 2, 25, 15 to the power 2, 225, 25 to the power 2, it is 625, 35 to the power 2, it is 1225. The list can go on to that point. For fx, it is 5 times 5, which will give you 25. 10 times the fee, 25 times 25, just like that, and then you'll find everything up. So And for E, fx squared, just f and x squared, guys. 5 times 25, 10 times 225, you'll get everything here. Once everything aligns properly, you can find the total of all these. Now, why were we looking for these? That is when the table comes in, or the formula comes in. Let's go back to the formula. You see, the formula contains fx and summation. This means once you add all those fx squared, that is the number you place here, and the f represents the frequency, right? So once you add all the frequency, you place the solution here. The mean, you find it. Oh, by the way, the formula for mean, it is fx and f. So right now we are just going to focus on this formula here. So watch this, guys, and watch as these things get easier. So what is fx squared? We go back to the table and look for fx squared. The total number, it is 1,200. It is 125,500. At least that is how I'll read this, me. Yeah, so I'll place it right there. Mwamanaka. I also do the same thing for frequency. My frequency is 100 here. I'll press it right there. Mwamanaka. fx is what? We go back to the table again. We go for fx. There is fx. We go back to the total number, 3,300. We place it 3,300. And the f, you place it like that. You place it like that. You understand where I'm coming from, right? Or where I'm going with this, right? So now that we've substituted everything, the next step is simple, guys, just to simplify. The simple mathematics is also 100 muli 125,500 nishinga 1,255 ne, so 100 muli 3,300 irampea 33. You understand, Kairi? It will give you like that. And now you just square it out. You can even use the calculator to square it out. You should end up with this once you've calculated everything. So subtract 1,255 and 1,089. Once you subtract that, it should read you to 166. So what is the square root of 166? If you punch on your calculator, it should give you 12.8 something. So the response that you get, it is 12.9 once you round off to one decimal place. First of all, in statistics, do they tell you which decimal place to go, like answer in one decimal or what? Anyway, I like to give my responses in one decimal place. So let's try now the other response. But first, do you have any question about this? Was I too fast? Do I need to adjust anything? If not, I believe I can move on to the next part, which is using answering things from a graph paper. On a graph paper, sorry, not from, but on a graph paper. So here is the thing. Answer this part of the question on a sheet of a graph paper, meaning every response is going to be on a graph paper. Here is now, using the table above, copy and complete the cumulative frequency table below. So what is this table above they're talking about? If you go back to our previous question, you will find that there was a table given, not the table that I made, but a table, this table here. So we are going to be using this table to complete that other table. So what happens is this. In order to complete this table, you just add the frequency of that table with this, like 0 plus 5 to give you 5 plus 10 to give you 15, and so on and so forth. Just fill in this. I have already filled in like so. Let me show you my graph. Do you see this? So these are the responses I got. It is 0, 5, 15, 10, 70, and 90, and 100. So you just add the frequency of this table with the frequency of that table that we had previously, and then you will get your final responses just like that. If you are lost, you can write something in the comment section, and I will personally explain what I was doing here in a much more easier way. So let's continue to design. So now that we fill in the table, what is next? The next question is, using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent 10 units on each axis, for 0 to 60 on the x-axis and 0 to 100 on the y-axis, draw a smooth cumulative frequency curve. Remember, inatukwata y-axis ya omusote namukwata na x-axis ya omusote, so I did not indicate everything up, so I'll add that later on. So ka box akakonsaka, it represents what? 10 units. So 10 units, 2 centimeter. 2 centimeter. So 2 centimeter will do be 10 units. So it is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So to Pactile, you say 10, 10 plus 10, it is 20, 20 plus 10, it is 30, 30 plus 10, it is 40, 40 plus 10, it is 50, and so on and so forth, going like that. So let's try to plot the graph up. So this is how you plot this graph. So you start with 0 and 0, so 0, 0. The edges are on the x-axis, and the number of patients is in the y-axis, and so it is 0 and 0. That is where I wrote this point here. You understand? And then it is 10 on the x-axis and 5 on the y-axis. So it is 10 on the x-axis and 5 on the y-axis. So you can be going on and on according to the point if so. Otherwise, because this video is getting longer, I will not explain much. Otherwise, just have to feed in the details up. So the next question is, showing your methods clearly, use your graph to estimate the semi-interquartile range. So the semi-interquartile range is given by the formula of subtracting the third quartile and the first quartile divided by 2. So we need first to find the third quartile. How do we find the third quartile? This is how sorry, I did not do much show and tell up, but this is how you do it. First of all, you need to multiply 1/4 by the total number of patients here. The total number of patients, that is how you find the first quartile. So once you find the total number of patients, you say 1/4 times 100. So it's going to give you a 20. It is going to give you a 25 here, and then you will go way down, and then once you reach the graph, you start coming down. This here will be your first quartile. You do the same thing with the third quartile, but in this case you say 3/4 times 100. It will give you a 75. So you start from this 75, and then you go to a point where you meet the graph, and then you start going down to this point here, which is what? 42. That will be your third quartile. So now that you have your first and third quartile, you simply just subtract them and divide them by 2, which will give you an 8.5, just like that. I hope this information helped, guys, and I'm sorry if the video took too long. You can advise me on where I need to improve, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Remember to like and subscribe, don't forget that.